Most people say HOAs are about keeping neighborhoods clean and orderly. Mine was run by a woman who treated the subdivision like her personal kingdom. Her name was Marjorie Pickett, but everyone knew her as Mad Queen Marge. She had that tight haircut that looked like it was pulled back by pure spite, and a personality that could turn milk sour from across the room. I moved into Willow Ridge Estates 3 years ago, an acre-lot neighborhood that claimed to be rural-friendly. The sales brochure literally said, "Large yards, workshops, small homesteads welcome." Perfect for me, a retired electrical engineer who liked tinkering with gadgets, repairing old ham radio towers, and raising a small flock of goats. It didn't take long for the HOA to decide I was their new obsession. Chapter 1. The warning letters begin. The first notice arrived in a bright orange envelope, like a parking ticket. Inside was a letter that said, "Greater than, your property violates community standards due to visible equipment in your backyard. Remove the metal structures or face escalating fines." Visible equipment. They meant my radio tower, which had stood proudly on my property long before the HOA even existed. I wrote back, politely, "Greater than, FCC licensed radio towers are federally protected. HOA has no authority over them." 3 days later, I got another letter. This time the fines had begun, $50 a day. Then came letters about my goats, livestock not permitted, though the bylaws said up to 5 small animals allowed. My workshop shed improper color, even though it was the exact beige from the HOA palette. My truck oversized vehicle, it wasn't. My fence unauthorized height, it was under the limit. It became obvious. This wasn't about violations, it was about control. And Marjorie was the type of HOA president who believed she could strong-arm anyone into obedience. Except she picked the wrong guy. Chapter 2. The Foreclosure Threat. A certified letter arrived one morning in a big, intimidating envelope stamped urgent legal matter. Inside, I found a printed notice. Greater than, due to unpaid fines exceeding $2,750. The HOA Board has voted to begin foreclosure proceedings as authorized under Section 11C of the Willow Ridge Covenants. They were attempting to take my house. Over imaginary violations. I stared at the letter for a long moment. I wasn't the panicking type, but something cold pooled in my stomach. Foreclosure isn't a joke. They were threatening my home just to force compliance. Later that day, I confronted Marjorie at the clubhouse. She smiled that smug, pinched lip smile. "Oh, it's nothing personal," she chirped. "But some homeowners think the rules don't apply to them. A foreclosure or two usually clears that right up." "Usually?" I asked. 3 homes in the last 5 years, she said proudly. There it was. Not an HOA. A racket. She thought fear would make me bow. Instead, it made me furious. Chapter 3. The fence goes up. I called my lawyer, Tom, an old friend, who told me, "Stop paying fines. Stop responding to letters. Let them dig their own grave. And do nothing that violates the bylaws." He paused. "But do secure your property. They're known to trespass." That was when I had an idea. A big idea. A 10,000-volt idea. Not deadly. Just a livestock deterrent system used commonly on farms. Completely legal. And well within my property. So over the next week, I installed it. A steel perimeter fence, insulators and wiring, a DC pulse energizer, ground rods, warning signs every 10 feet. This wasn't some improvised contraption, it was a professional-grade electric fence. 10,000 volts, low amperage, enough to make anyone rethink touching it. Even better, HOA bylaws allowed fences up to my height. There were 0 rules about electrification. The day after I flipped it on, things got interesting. Chapter 4. The Shocking Incident. I was in my workshop when I heard the scream. A shriek so loud my goats scattered like popcorn. I rushed outside to see Marjorie, on the ground, clutching her hand while yelping like she'd been stabbed. "What happened?" I asked, though I knew exactly. "Your fence," she screeched. "You electrocuted me." I pointed at the giant yellow sign literally 4 inches from her face. "Warning. Electric fence. Do not touch." "You touched it," I said calmly. "On my property. You assaulted me," she yelled. "This is attempted murder." It's a farm deterrent fence, I replied. Perfectly legal. She kept ranting until the paramedics arrived. One EMT asked what she touched. That wire, she shrieked. He looked at the fence. Then at her. Then back at the fence. Ma'am, this is a standard livestock fence. Her face went bright red. But it didn't end there. She filed a police report, which lasted exactly 6 minutes before the officer knocked on my door, laughing so hard he could barely talk. She grabbed an electric fence with both hands, he said. Said she was inspecting it for violations. Was she trespassing? I asked. Yep, he replied. Case closed. Marjorie was furious, and now she was out for blood. Chapter 5. The HOA declares war. The next HOA meeting was packed. Marjorie stood up front like a dictator delivering a military decree. This homeowner, she spat, pointing at me, has installed a dangerous, illegal device meant to harm HOA personnel. It's legal, I said calmly. It is an abomination, she screeched. The board, her friends, nodded obediently. They voted 5-0 to fine me $500 per day. Order immediate removal of the fence. Add a dangerous homeowner label to my file. Hire a contractor to remove the hazard and charge me. They also fast-tracked their foreclosure motion. That night, someone jumped my fence trying to clip the wires. He got a surprise. The scream woke half the neighborhood. 2 days later, the HOA hired a crew to cut the fence. They also lit themselves up. At that point, the sheriff got involved. And here's where it gets good. Chapter 6. The sheriff steps in. Sheriff Daniels knew Marjorie well. She'd filed over 200 complaints in 3 years, most of them ridiculous. He arrived at my property with 2 deputies. Did you hire these men? He asked, pointing to the contractor crew nursing their shocked hands. Nope, I said. They trespassed. He nodded. It's your right to secure your property. They had no authority to be here. Then he turned to Marjorie. Ma'am, you're being cited for criminal trespass, intentional property damage, and reckless endangerment. Her mouth fell open. You can't charge me. I'm the HOA president, and I'm the sheriff, he replied. Touch that fence again, and you're going to jail. She sputtered so badly she almost swallowed her tongue. This was the exact moment I knew I had her. Chapter 7. The lawsuit. My lawyer Tom filed a harassment lawsuit, a property interference lawsuit, a defamation claim, a motion to halt foreclosure, a petition for punitive damages. He also filed a massive complaint with the state HOA oversight board. Meanwhile, the HOA's law firm withdrew after realizing they were supporting illegal activity. So Marjorie represented the HOA herself. It went as expected. She walked into court acting like she owned the building. The judge asked, Mrs. Pickett, did you authorize entry onto the plaintiff's property? She proudly declared, yes. As HOA president, I have the right to access any. No, you absolutely do not, the judge cut in. The courtroom burst into whispers. Then came evidence. Video of her grabbing the fence. Video of the contractor crew trespassing. My letters citing federal protection for the tower. Copies of fake violations. Records of 3 previous foreclosures she orchestrated. My lawyer presented everything neatly. Her defense. This homeowner is a danger to the community. He is a menace. The judge looked at her like she'd grown horns. Mrs. Pickett, I'm fining the HOA for malicious prosecution, harassment, unlawful attempts at foreclosure, and damages to private property. She turned pale. Then came the dollar amount. $185,000. The courtroom gasped. $185,000 in penalties. Personally payable by the HOA, including its president. Effective immediately, the judge concluded, the HOA is placed under state supervision pending reorganization. Marjorie fainted. Not metaphorically. She actually hit the floor. Chapter 8. The fallout. The neighborhood exploded with gossip. Some residents were furious, mostly the busybodies who loved Marjorie's power trips. But most were relieved. 3 families she had threatened with foreclosure came to thank me in person. 2 offered to help replace my fence. 1 even brought me cookies shaped like tiny electric bolts. The HOA members held an emergency vote and removed Marjorie from the board permanently. Then something even better happened. A group of homeowners asked me to join the new board. I politely declined. I'd had enough paperwork for one lifetime. But I did agree to help rewrite the bylaws. The new rules were simple. No fines without photographic evidence. No inspections without written consent. No harassment. No retaliation. No unauthorized entry, ever. And the best clause: electric fences permitted if properly signed. My fence became the standard. Neighbor kids called it Fort Voltage. Adults joked that Marjorie should have read the sign harder. Life became peaceful again. Chapter 9. The Epilogue. A surprise twist. 6 months later, I got a letter. Not from the HOA. From Marjorie. It was handwritten, shaky. Greater than, you ruined my life. I lost my home. I lost my board. I lost everything. I hope you're happy. I set the letter down. Was I happy? No. I was satisfied. She caused misery for dozens of people. She ran the wall like a tyrant. She ruined families over petty nonsense. She had tried to steal my home. Actions have consequences. I didn't respond. Instead, I framed the HOA's court judgment and hung it in my workshop above my electrical tools. A reminder that sometimes, justice does strike back. Like a 10,000-volt shock. Final line. A fence protects property, but sometimes it also exposes tyrants.